Fadal.
Question for online asks, Ibrahim Ali from Sheffield, UK. How much should a student of knowledge read per day, and what should he read?
Bismillah. Question is coming from Sheffield, UK, from Brother Ibrahim. How much should a student of knowledge read per day, and what should he read? Wa alaikum assalam. We've explained this in many classes and many lectures over the years. Obviously, it's going to be relative from person to person, but the general rule that we said is that there should be no study time for a student of knowledge. No such thing as what? Study time. There should be no how much should I read? How much should I memorize? How many hours should I study? We believe our philosophy is that you should have a time for sleep. How many hours should I sleep? One may say 5 hours, 4 hours, 6. From person to person. Everyone's different. A day. Everybody clear on this? How long should I spend eating? One may say no meal that the student of knowledge takes should take longer than 10 minutes. One could say this. And while you're eating that meal, you should have a what? A book open or listening to a lecture while you eat. One could say this. The meal shouldn't take longer than 15 minutes. So we have, let's say a person has 3 meals a day, roughly. There's breakfast, there's lunch, and there's dinner. Each meal is no longer than 10 minutes. That's 30 minutes. So a person could say, student of knowledge has only 30 minutes to eat a day. That's it. And while I'm eating, I'm studying. How much time should I spend visiting my family? Doing this, exercising, etc. And anything that remains after that is for what? Reading and studying and memorizing. Everybody clear on this? So it shouldn't necessarily be time for study, but it should be time for other worldly things, and everything else is for what? For studying. That's first and foremost. We've explained this countless times. We feel this is the proper way, Maybe a bit deep to get, or maybe look extreme, but this is what we feel is correct. Is that there is no time for studying. There's time for other things, and everything else is what? Studying. That's number one. Number two, depending on the person, a beginner is not like someone who's advanced. Someone who's advanced is not like someone who's an expert. A beginning student of knowledge, maybe say read for a couple of hours and the rest is spent with a teacher. Someone who's advanced, who's an expert, who's been studying for some years, it may be more beneficial for him to spend more time in the library than sitting with a teacher. I have a couple of classes that I go to and the rest is spent where? In the library. Well, how can that? It depends on the person. As far as what should a student of knowledge read, then that's a very long discussion. We've explained this before many times. Perhaps we'll make a separate lecture series in the future. What should you read? There are different types of reading. You may read to memorize. You may read to review. You may read for leisure, for enjoyment, just for pleasure. Well, you may read to diversify and broaden your scope of your mind. Different reasons behind reading. And it also depends on a student of knowledge. Someone who's a beginner is not going to read that which an advanced student of knowledge is going to read. It's a different level. So basically, you have to learn the fundamentals of the religion, the ABCs of the deen, the rudiments of the deen, the things that you need to know. And then after that, focus on the tools, the ilm al-ala, the sciences that would lead you to the main sciences. Usul al-fiqh allows you to learn and study and practice fiqh. Usul al-tafsir allows you to properly understand and read and benefit from tafsir. Usul al-hadith allows you to open up Sahih al-Bukhari and Jami' al-Tirmidhi. وهكذا. The Arabic language allows you to read what the Salaf said and did, and so on and so forth. وهكذا. And then, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you take a small basic book in each and every field, a small manual in each discipline, and read it with a teacher, memorize it, understand it, and then you move on to a bigger book until the point in which you feel comfortable that you have a good, solid foundation, and then you should focus on a field of expertise. After you've locked down the basics 2 or 3 times, now you should focus on one thing now. I want to study fiqh. And in fiqh, Shafi'i fiqh. I want to focus on the Quran. I want to focus on the recitation. I want to focus on hadith. After you become proficient and sufficient in your fundamentals, take a field of expertise. Please go back to the channel in which we've mentioned many books and we've explained this. and many lectures and many Q&A sessions. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.
So, during Tarawih, can you drink water while praying?
The question says, during Tarawih, can you drink water? Ibn Rajab, rahimahullah, he mentions that some of the people of knowledge drank water between the raka'at when they made Tarawih. That's not the statement of the Prophet. Nor does it state that it was acknowledged by the Prophet. And the Prophet has taught us the specific manner of offering prayer, the general way of making prayer. And he has made exceptions and exclusions to that rule, such as not facing the Qibla when you're traveling, sitting down when it isn't fard. And I don't know of a hadith in which the Prophet allowed people to drink water while making prayer, even if it's voluntary prayer. So I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. If you're parched, if you're very thirsty, after the second rak'ah, the imam, he makes his taslim, take a couple of sips and then jump right in. It's not like he's reciting a very short surah. He's going to recite in a page, 2 pages, 3 pages each rak'ah. You have time to join in. So I would not advise nor recommend for a person to drink water while they are offering Tarawih, to pray and drink water. I would not advise with that. And Allah knows best.
Abu Hassan, Egypt, Cairo. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is there anything wrong with splitting the 2 night prayer, Tarawih and Qiyam, making 1 witr? Is this against the Sunnah? Was this done by the Salaf?
Question is coming from Cairo, Egypt, with regards to splitting the night prayer, making some rak'at at one time and other rak'at later on. Is that from the Sunnah? Did the Salaf do it? Is anything wrong with that? As long as one makes 1 witr. Tayyib. First and foremost is that we have to understand something. We have the general legislation of an act, and then we have the specific explanation of that legislation. The Quran and the Sunnah are full of texts that promote prayer at night. قُمِ اللَّيْلَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Allah says they only slept a little bit at night. And the ashar, they seek Allah's forgiveness. تَتَجَافَى جُنُوبُهُمْ عَنِ الْمَضَاجِعِ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ خَوْفًا وَطَمَعًا. Allah says that their beds were forsaken. Verse after verse that promote us to pray at night. No doubt about that. So many hadiths that promote us to pray at night. The Prophet ﷺ says, don't be like such and such. He used to pray at night, then he left it alone. Hadith after hadith promoting us to pray at night. There's no doubt about that. However, the specific legislation, how the Prophet prayed at night, what he did and what he didn't do, that is the dominant factor. That's the thing that we should do, that we must do and call to. And not take generalities and vague proofs and evidences to say pray as much as you want. Make 20 rak'at, make 40 rak'at. It doesn't matter. Salat al-layli, mathna, mathna. The night prayer comes in pairs. That's general. The Prophet, how many rak'at did he make? What did he say? What did he recite? How did he make those rak'at? That's what we should do. So if we have dalil that the Prophet made 4 rak'at with the Sahaba, and then went home and made 4 rak'at in Aisha's home, and then make 3 witr, then do that. And if you don't find that, and if the narration says that the Prophet prayed 8, he prayed 11, 13, including 2 rak'at with Isha, all at once, then that is what you should do. That is what you should do. Is it haram to split it? Not necessarily saying that. But the best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And there is nothing that you can do of piety that's more pious than Muhammad's way. Everybody clear on this or not? What's important is if you split it or not, make sure there's only 1 witr in one night. There are no 2 witrs at nighttime. And if you pray some rak'ats with the imam and go home to pray some rak'ats, perhaps there's nothing wrong with that. But the best guidance is that which the Prophet ﷺ did with regards to the night prayer. This is for this question or any other issue. How many rak'at? Can I hold the mushaf? Can I make qunut? Do I make this dua for witr? Etc. And Allah knows best.